For most of us, the regularity of our heartbeat never really kind of crosses our minds. But every month, about 10,000 Americans with heart failure or an arrhythmia have a device that's implanted to continuously monitor their heart rhythm and deliver a life-saving shock if it's needed. Now, these devices are powered by batteries that typically need to be replaced every few years, and it actually comes at a price that isn't always covered by insurance. Emily Herman lives with this every day. She joins me now, along with Dr. Stein, to talk about innovative technology that is helping these patients. First off, thank you both so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Emily, let's start with you. Thank you first off for sharing your story. How were you diagnosed and how has this kind of impacted your life?
Sure. So I was in high school when I began to experience symptoms of dizziness and shortness of breath when I was exercising. And eventually I went to see my doctor, and after doing some tests, they diagnosed me with a heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which basically means that I'm at high risk for cardiac arrest. So shortly after that diagnosis, just a couple weeks later, I received my first implanted pacemaker and defibrillator at age 19.
Wow, and you fall into exactly what we were talking about, having to be monitored. Doctor, can you kind of dive a little bit deeper into this technology and kind of how it's advanced?
Yeah, absolutely, Tina. At Boston Scientific, we developed the world's first ever commercially available implantable defibrillator, or ICD. That's why we're sponsoring this interview today. And in the description of what the device does, I think you really gave a great description in your introduction. You know, basically, it's an electronic device that gets implanted under the skin in the chest, and then typically there's a wire or a lead that goes through a blood vessel into the heart itself, and it monitors every single heartbeat. And if a patient has a cardiac arrest and is at risk of dying, it can give a shock to the heart and bring the rhythm back to normal. I mean, it's just like, you know, on the TV medical dramas when you see them running with the paddles and shock a patient and bring them back to life.
And Emily, just out of curiosity, how many times have you had a replacement?
So I've had devices now for the past 14 years. My first two devices each lasted just between 2 and 5 years. So that really heightened my concern around the financial piece of having these replaced and having a high deductible health plan, and also just the undergoing so many surgeries. My third device I've had now for 7 years. It's a Boston Scientific device, and it's still expected to have another 5 years of battery life in it.
Wow. And doctor, is that why this battery longevity is so important?
Yeah, you know, we think it's important. It's important to docs. It's important to the system. It's most important to patients like Emily. What some folks probably don't realize, you know, it's not like a simple consumer electronic device, you know, like a TV remote where when the battery runs down, you just flip open a panel and pop that out and pop in a new one. These devices are hermetically sealed. And so when the battery runs down, you need a surgical procedure, and you need to take out the whole old device and put in a whole new one. And you know, every time a patient like Emily undergoes surgery, there are risks involved, there's discomfort involved, and then of course there's the expense to the patient and to the system. We've got 9 independent studies now that confirm the superior longevity of our devices, lasting up to twice as long as some older devices or some of the devices our competitors still have on the market.
Well, this advancement is going to be music to the ears of a lot of patients just like Emily. I want to thank you both so much for the information, and Emily for sharing your personal story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And folks who want to learn more can go on the web to devicelongevity.com.
So thank you again. Don't go anywhere. The Morning Blend, we'll be right back.